Hey everybody, it's Boardman21 and today's build is going to be a form shape-shifting between the Druid Werebear and the Spriggan Form. And what we're going to be doing is bouncing back and forth between the both of them, using health regeneration for our defense along with high armor and protections. And for damage, we're going to be using the Werebear Swipe, which will be doing great damage, and will be based on using a two-handed weapon, really fast attack speed, and we'll be using the spell damage converted to global damage for it. As well as we're going to be having Avalanche running almost 24/7, so Avalanche will be doing great damage. And then when we hop into Spriggan Form, we're going to be using it to summon a bunch of healing totems, which will increase our cold damage per active totem, and it will proc our other passives that give us health regeneration. And what this will do all together is basically make Avalanche do a lot of damage at all times on top of our Werebear doing swipe, and it's just kind of a really fun build to play, but at the same time it can be a really hard build to play. You're going to be using all 5 buttons. You're going to be constantly trying to remember what you've done, what's on cooldown without trying to look at the skill bar. And basically how it's going to run is you're going to be in Werebear Form for about 10 seconds. You're going to leave Werebear Form. You're going to cast Avalanche real quick. You're going to jump into Spriggan. You're going to stay in Spriggan for 10 seconds or so. You're going to cast Healing Totems that whole time you're in there. Then you're going to leave Spriggan Form, and then you're going to be back in your regular form, cast Avalanche, and then you're going to go back into Werebear, and you're just going to keep repeating that cycle. The reason for this: in Spriggan Form you can get totems, which will increase your cold damage, which will increase avalanche damage, while in Werebear you'll have avalanche going and your swipe going, so it'll be 2 sources of leech, 2 sources of damage. And also you'll be taking advantage of all the passives that there are that will increase your health regeneration and damage when recently transformed. Those buffs last for 10 seconds, so as long as you're going back and forth. The 20-second cooldown on Werebear and Spriggan Form, you can kind of battle in between it. You'll only be in your regular form for 2 seconds at a time in between that, and you'll be able to just keep bouncing forth basically infinitely. Mana can be a bit of an issue, so kind of keep an eye on that, but for the most part we can just kind of keep bouncing, and we'll have some gameplay and we'll go over it. For skills, we're going to be running Werebear Form, Swipe, Summon Thorn Totem, Avalanche, and Spriggan Form. For Werebear Form, we're using it for defenses. You're using it for your offense. You're going to do extra damage with swipe while you're in it, and you want to make sure that you still have your 100% critical strike so that you can proc your armor and protections, and so that you can do as much damage as possible. With that, we have 3 points in Rip and Tear, 1 point for Enervating Blow, 2 points in Hightail, 3 points in Pummel, 5 points in Ursane Heart, 1 point in Wizened Claws, 1 point in Star Claw, and 2 points in Razor Claws, and 1 point in both Thick Skin and Rallying Cry. For Swipe, we're using this for crit, for some crit multiplier, and for as much area hit as possible. We're also using it for global damage and attack speed. So we got 4 points in Battle Howl, 1 point in Aspect of the Panther, 2 points in Frenzy, 3 points in Feline Hunter, 4 points in Apex Predator, 2 points in Way of the Hunt, and 4 points in Wingarian Reach. For Thorn Totem, we still want to summon the 5 at once. Also, the cost of this affects the healing totem cost in Spriggan Form, so we do want to put some points into the mana efficiency node. And with that, we have 3 points in Forested Expense, 3 points in Internal Forest, 1 point in Groove Mines so that we can summon them all at once, 3 points in Teutonic Wisdom for that mana efficiency, 2 points in Memories of Edera to unlock the Poison Tree, 3 points in Venom Tipped Thorns, 1 point in Lasting Affliction, and 4 points in Rotten Core, because between Avalanche and you swiping as fast as possible, you will be proccing Thorn Totems a bunch with the idol of % chance on melee hit to proc Thorn Totem, and therefore they'll constantly be resummoning themselves, and every time it resummons and gets rid of the previous 5, that counts as a death, which will put poison. I wouldn't call them clouds, it's more like poison puddles on the ground, and the more of those you have, the more damage that you'll do to your enemies. Then we have Avalanche. For Avalanche, it's going to be a cast and forget. We don't really care too much about the mana cost. You just want to make sure you have the maximum duration of 10 seconds so that this will last the whole 10 seconds, so that when you cast it you can go into a form and have it for 10 seconds. It'll also kind of be your timer, so that once you go into a form, you know that once Avalanche has stopped, your 10-second buff for transforming recently is usually up as well, and that'll tell you to go back into your regular form, cast it again, and then go into the opposite form that you weren't just in. So for this we have 1 point in Mountain Peak, 1 point in Precision, 1 point in Wild Path, 4 points in Unyielding Storm, 2 points in Naturally Occurring, and 1 point in Hailstorm. We also have 2 points in Explosive Impact, 1 point in Mountain's Fury, 3 points in Intensity, and 4 points in Stormfront. For Spriggan Form, we're using this for defenses as well. You're also using it for the buffs to changing in and out of transformation, since Werebear has a 20-second cooldown. That's why we'll be switching into this. We're just going to be using it to summon a bunch of healing totems for a few seconds and then switching back into our regular form. With that, you want to be protected while you're in this form, so we have 5 points in Skin-like Bark, 5 points in Reinforced Totem for healing duration for healing totem duration, 1 point in Spiked Totem to give your healing totems the Thorn Totem skill tree, 4 points for maximum amount of totems that you can have, 2 points in Nurture, and we have 3 points in Veiltide. We tried to get the Veil Spirits to summon on a healing totem death. This node still does not work, so you can put these 3 points anywhere you want. For passives, we have 20 points in Primalist, we have 1 point in Natural Attunement, 8 points in Primal Strength, 4 points in Survival of the Pack, 1 point in Tempestborn, and 6 points in Wisdom of the Wild. We have 0 points in Beastmaster, we have 20 points in Shaman, we have 8 points in Rejuvenation Totem, so that whenever there is an active totem, we have a 160% increased health regeneration. We also have 4 points in Teutonic Fury to give us increased attack speed and cast speed when there's an active totem, and 8 points in Silent Protector for increased armor, 120% more armor when there is an active totem. You do need the 20 points in this tree to unlock Avalanche. For the Druid, which we are mastered in, we have 74 points. We have 6 points in Blood Claws, 10 points in Barkskin, 8 points in Soul's Attendant, 5 points in Spirit Claws, 5 points in Primal Shifter. This is the buff that whenever we are in a transformed state or out of a transformed state, you get increased damage, 70% more damage for 10 seconds. We also have 5 points in Deep Roots. We have 5 points in Restoration, which gives us a 150% increased health regeneration if we have transformed recently. This is another 10-second buff. And then we also have 5 points in Regrowth. This is kind of mandatory because we're switching back and forth so much and you're not out of form enough to regain all of your mana. You need this so that every time you do it, you get 25 mana instantly, and you have 25% increased mana regeneration for 4 seconds. We also have 9 points in Ferocity for that critical strike chance, 5 points in Forest Fever for the physical damage increase. This helps swipe and it helps Avalanche. 5 points in Defense of the Heart for that 125% increased armor protections on crit for 4 seconds. Definitely a keeper. 1 point in Eternal Nature and 5 points in Soothing Slaughter for that health gained on crit, increased healing effectiveness, and increased critical strike. We're not using Entangling Roots, so healing is not super important. For items, we went with the jewelry pieces. We have set elemental protection and set health regen. We also have protections and some health regeneration wherever we could get it. So that'll take care of our jewelry pieces. For our helm, chest, and gloves, we went with health regen. We also have some vitality. We have glancing blow. And then for our boots and belts, it's just vitality and glancing blow. And for our weapon, the most important thing, we wanted to get basically all the critical strike chance just on the weapon, so we didn't have to worry about putting it on any gear. So we have the maximum amount of melee critical strike chance you can get, 7 passive, 13 on the prefix. That's for 20% base, plus the 5% base on the character, so you have a 25% base critical strike chance. With the 200% in the passive tree and the 100% that you get on swipe, that already puts you at 100% critical strike chance just with those. You don't have to put it on idols, you don't have to put on any other items, you're done. We also have 46% increased melee attack speed. Remember, you also get another 20% melee attack speed when you have an active totem, and you get another 9% from our Jade Amulet. We also have 800 necrotic protection, 176 poison protection. You will need at least one idol that gives you a chance on hit to summon Thorn Totem. We also got lucky, and this one got two affixes. We wanted the 20% increase cold damage per active totem will really increase Avalanche's damage whenever you've gone into Spriggan Form and putting up your maximum of 9 healing totems, and then when you're back in Werebear Form and do a melee hit and you get 5 Thorn Totems, you have 14 totems active. That's the maximum amount that you can have right now, and with that 14, that's 14 times 20%, giving you 280% increased cold damage, which is really nice because then you can transform into Werebear and take advantage of both Avalanche and Swipe doing good damage. The rest of these, we have a chance to cast an Avalanche Boulder on a melee attack, which we're constantly doing in Werebear and out of Werebear Form. We also have 90% increased health regen, and the other two that we have are both for the regen for a total of 97, 97, and 44. So just to show you what some of the stats are going to look like here, I can't do a crit, I got nothing to hit, but if we crit, all of these will increase by 125%, so you can see our defenses will be about 80 here and between 60 to 75% for the Void, Necrotic, and Poison, which isn't horrible. Our health regen in Werebear Form with nothing active is 225. With an active totem, which you will almost always have an active totem in base form, we will have a 303% or 303 health regeneration per second. That's huge. That's almost more than Entangling Roots, so that's why we're going with this. Now, whenever you transform for 10 seconds, you're also going to get even more. So once we're in Werebear Form, you can see it jumps up to a 493 health per second. That's huge. You can just run away for a second and a half, and all of your health will come back. You can see that when that buff wears off, you're already down to 342 as base if you don't have a totem or the buff of 160 or 150% increased health regen on a reset transformation. But you can switch back, have your totems active. We're once again at 303. You can go into Spriggan Form and boom, and Spriggan you're back up to that 493. You'll just keep switching back based on the cooldowns. And this, you can have your maximum of 9 healing totems. And then we can switch back and have our nice totem, and you can see you have 14 totems. You can cast Avalanche, switch back into Werebear, and for a little bit here you're going to have 14 totems, Avalanche going, and you're swiping away. So lots of fun with it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and put you into some gameplay.